Hello, in this part of the video, I'm going to show you how to use useSTLvector. And before we do that, I want to introduce you to this wonderful website if you haven't been here. So it's called c++.com. So if you click on reference, and this STL containers and STL algorithms. For this data structure class, we discuss a bunch of containers and some sorting algorithms, and some searching algorithms as well. So now if you click on STL containers, STL stands for Standard Templates Library. It's only available in C++, not in C. You see, it will show you different kind of container class, and the one we're going to look at is vector for this week. And for the future weeks, I'm not going to show you this website again, and I expect you to search through this website and look up for the container we learn and try to get yourself familiar with it. It's just one thing, for this class, you're not allowed to use STL library. Not any of them, because we need to learn what's happening behind the scenes. So like some implementation detail inside the library, so you're supposed to write a simplified version of some library there, but I still want you to be familiar with this library. Let's see, for example, vector is essentially vector, like how they implement vector, it's just using a dynamic array, and how they implement a list, they're using a linear linked list, but I think they use a doubly linked list, not just linear linked list there. So I just want to show you how to look up something. If you click on vector, it first has some documentation about what is a vector, how about the performance of operation. Then it will show you member functions, the constructors, iterators, everything there, and you can go through all of them if you're interested for now. And this one thing I really like about this website is it has some wonderful sample code to get you started. For example, if you're not familiar with the iterator ideas, iterator, you can imagine it as a pointer to guide you through, to step you through a container or a data structure there. So it could be very useful. For example, if you're wondering exactly what this begin means, so you click on begin, then it will show you the prototype for begin, the parameter, the return type. And now look at this example. It's very easy to understand example. They all include a very simple example so that you don't get distracted. You see, you include a vector there, and you have a vector of integer. So you're trying to keep track of a vector of integer. You call it my vector, and you do a simple loop, my vector dot pushback. So pushback is one member function defined in vector class. So my vector dot pushback add that integer. Then it declare a iterator for it. So we call it it. And how to use this iterator? So you first get the beginning point of the vector and save it in the iterator. Then test, am I reaching the end of the list yet? And you see, you use this syntax like 8++ to advance the iterator, then dereference it. So you can imagine iterator is kind of like a pointer. So when you try to access the element pointed to by this pointer, you need to dereference it. And it also shows you see, the output of this sample code. So I really like this example section. So it's a good place to get started when you look up a function about how to use it. I put together something here to show you the some usage of vector. So let's see, in this test program, first I create an array of data objects, Actually it's an array of pointers to data objects. So I have an array of pointers to data objects, and this is how I get the size of the array. So size of the array divided by size of individual element member, and then I got the size of the array there. And in order to use vector, I have to include the vector, the STL library called include vector here. And I have two functions. One function is to test the use vector, another one to release the student array. So I first invoke use vector, then I release the student array. So you see this array contains pointers to objects. And now let's take a look at the use vector one. When we use vector, usually we don't put data objects directly into the vector. Instead, we put pointers to data objects inside the vector there. And you see, I use a pushback function of vector class to push pointers to student objects into this vector. So this is a template. A template means a vector of what? If it's an integer, you put int there. If it's data, you put data there. If it's a pointer to data, you put pointer to data there. And now I'm trying to loop through to display. And in order to display, you see I use a bracket one. Kind of like using array. The reason this one works, vector isn't an array. Vector is an STL class implemented by using dynamic array, but it's not array. But the good thing is vector class overloaded this bracket operator, so to give you back the array logic to make the client's task much easier. So you can treat it just like an array, but it's really not an array. And so student bracket I will give you pointer to student, and I have to dereference it to show the student object. And now this part of the code, I'm trying to do the same thing, but I'm trying to use an iterator to help me. So I first declare iterator. This is how I declare the iterator. Declare the iterator, then start the iterator by using the begin function of the vector class and test am I at the end yet, then increment the iterator. Then take a look at this one. So when I dereference iterator, I got to the element in the vector. The element in the vector is a pointer to student. So in order to display student, I need to dereference it again. Alright, and now I'm clearing up everything by using the clear function of the vector class. And after I clear it, I try to show you nothing's there. And the release student array simply go through the array and delete the student object I allocated. Alright, so that shows you how to use the STL vector, and again, you're not supposed to use any STL class in this data structure class, but for your future classes and for your future career, you should use STL because they're well written and they're well documented, and supposed to have less bugs than your own data structure. Thank you.